under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and ever-living God, we give you thanks for this day that you have brought us all together, especially the citizens of this community and its leaders, for Mayor Ryan and for the Common Council, that you may pour your wisdom on them so they are able to make good decisions for the people of this community. We ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you again, Pastor Park. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes. 3.1 are approval to approve the minutes of the March 15th, the March 22nd meetings, and, or I'm sorry, 29th. So there's no additions or corrections. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 4 are communications. Got communications. I would like to take a moment to announce that on April 30th from 9 till noon, we'll have our 3rd annual Adopt a Park cleanup. And I know a number of people have already signed up to adopt a specific park. It's been really encouraging. We've had over 70 citizens and volunteers take time, and this has been a successful program for a number of years. And I think it takes great pride to adopt a park and beautify our city. So there's still more time to sign up if you haven't already, and would welcome those of you and thank those that have already signed up. And after we're done, we congregate in Veterans Park for some sandwiches and beverages. So if you haven't signed up, please consider to do so. And with that, we'll move on to item number 5, which is public comments. Citizens may address the chair at this point of the meeting. Please limit your comments to items on the agenda for one time for a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6, which are reports of committees, boards, commissions, and the Delavan Darien School District. Item 6.1 is Finance Committee and the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met on April 12th at 5 o'clock. Our next meeting will be May 10th at 5. There are a number of items on tonight's agenda. The minutes of the meeting are on file with the city clerk for public inspection. At this time, I would make a motion to approve the financial report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 6.2 is general operations. Alderman Wilson.
General Operations Committee met August 12, 2022 at 6 p.m. The minutes from the February 1st were approved. Our chief of police updated us on the police department staffing. This included the process of hiring 2 new officers. And then Chief Hansen also said that he had implemented the program called Living Well First Responders Education. The police chiefs partnered with Aurora Medical, bringing mental health education to police officers, dispatchers, jail staff, support staff, and their families. Really nice job there. Let me see, we touched on operator license, building and zoning department, showed 3 new houses going up. In business, we sent several Class B applications for tonight's agenda. Also an expansion of the consumption area for downtown. A couple street closures, ordinance for, we had an ordinance change for industrial fats, oils, and grease. We also changed the CDL ordinance. Future agenda items are also changing, also charging stations, and the next meeting will be May 3rd at 5:30.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. Item 6.3 is the Planning Commission. Alderman Beazer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The planning commission met April 4th. The items for that meeting are on the agenda tonight. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 2nd at 5 p.m. Minutes are on file, as always, with the city clerk. If anybody has interest in perusing.
Thank you, Alderman Beazer. Item 6.4 is Public Works, Alderwoman Dustin Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works met on March 22nd at 5:30. Items that were covered at that meeting will be discussed tonight under Finance Committee. Our next meeting is April 26th at 5:30.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dustin Grant. Item 6.5 is Town of Delavan Lake Committee, Alderman Beazer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Town of Delavan Lake Committee met and they went over some of the aspects relating to the dredging project. Most of that is still waiting for approval from the DNR, and they are also waiting on collaboration with the Delavan Sanitary District for the intergovernmental agreement regarding who is going to maintain everything, what's going to happen. That's still not in place, so nothing is really in place yet. They are also reviewing options in case they are not able to complete the project this year. So they're coming up with a new backup plan.
Thank you, Alderman Beazer. Item 6.6 is Library Board of Trustees, Alderwoman Dustin Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Library Board of Trustees met on March 17th at 5:30. Updates were given on donations for the new library build. Our next meeting is April 28th at 5:30.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dustin Grant. Item 6.7 is Park and Recreation Commission, Alderman Purcell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Park and Rec is working on summer events. They're gonna be working on the annual 4th of July celebration and the 125th anniversary of the city. Also youth, baseball, softball season is coming up. And the summer program guide is almost done, so that will be coming out soon. That's pretty much what they got in that. The next, well, April 25th will be the meeting at 5:30. Will be this Thursday, I believe, or next week.
Thank you, Alderman Purcell. Item 6.8 is Communications Commission, Alderman Solis.
The committee has not met since our last council meeting. I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Alderman Solis. Item 6.9 is the Delavan Downtown Project Management Team, Alderman Dustin Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Downtown Project Management Team met on March 22nd at 7. We discussed some of our future events and preparations for them. In case you haven't noticed, tickets for the Spring Wine Walk are currently on sale, so I would encourage everybody to come up for that. Our next meeting is April 26th at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Alderwoman Dustin Grant. Item 6.10 is the Delbrook Golf Commission, Alderman Purcell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Delbert is open. Golf is going on due to the weather. It's kind of hit and miss. Leagues are going to be starting this week. The pavilion's open, the restaurant's open. Everything's going good there. But we just get the weather behind us. And we're hoping that this year is going to be hopefully the same as last year. Last year was a record year. And we're hoping that this year will be pretty close to what we had last year. Everyone's doing a great job out there. They're doing a great job keeping everything clean, keeping the greens cut. So we just gotta hope for the best with that.
Thank you, Alderman Purcell. Item 6.11 is the Tourism Commission, Alderman Solis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The tourism committee met on March 31st. I was not able to attend the meeting. However, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 27th at 8:30 a.m. here at the council chambers.
Thank you, Alderman Solis. Item 6.12 is the Delavan Darien School District update. So the attendance, so we'll have an update next month. With that, we'll move on to item number 7, which are items that came before the Planning Commission. 7.1 is consider 2-lot land division request by Certified Survey Map CSM for 2113 through 2141 East Geneva Street, commonly known as PetSmart, through the former Staples.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed two-lot CSM land division for property at 2113 through 2141 East Geneva Street as prepared by Jeffrey Whipple, dated 1/20/2022.
Great, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.2 is consider a single lot CSM for a farm separation land division at 4583 Cobblestone Road, applicant Don Louis.
Mr. Mayor, again, I'd like to make a motion to approve the single lot CSM land division request for farm building separation drafted by Kristen J. Wangia, order number 34192 as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.3 is consider a two-lot land division request by certified survey map CSM for 1824 Palms Drive.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed two-lot CSM land division for the property at 1824 Hobbs Drive as prepared. Christopher A. Hodges, dated 3/8/2022.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.4 is consider a resolution to amend an existing regular conditional use permit for 1234 East Geneva Street that would allow for the expansion of the existing building for property located in business land BL zoning district with a wellhead protection overlay, applicant Warren Hanson for Gray and Deborah Kunis.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed resolution, including one conditional use findings as listed in the report under recommended conditional use findings, and amendment to conditional use permit for the Coons Country Ford property located at 1234 East Geneva Street in the business local zoning district to allow for an expansion to the existing principal structure as shown on the site plan prepared by Ferris Hanson and Associates, last revisited 3/29/2022, subject to recommended conditions of approval as listed in the report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 8 are issues that came before the General Operations Committee. 8.1 is consider an application from a new Enterprises Incorporated for a Class B fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for 627 South Second Street.
So this came before general operations. I think we should consider approval of the fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for 627 South Second Street. The General Operations Committee considered the application on their April 12th meeting and it recommends approval.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.2 is consider a request for a temporary Class B license to allow the Friends of the Phoenix Park Band shell to sell fermented malt beverages at Phoenix Park for the 2022 Free Summer Concert Series.
So this also came before general operations and you want me to list all the dates? We should consider a request for a temporary Class B license to allow the Friends of Phoenix Band Shell to sell fermented beverages at Phoenix Park for the 2022 Free Summer Concert Series on 5/28, 6/4, 6/11, 6/18, 6/25, 7/2, 7/4, 7/9, 7/16, 7/23, 7/30, 8/6, 8/13, 8/20, 8/27, 9/3, and 9/17.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 8.3 is consider a request for a temporary Class B license to allow St. Andrew's Congregation to sell fermented malt beverages at Phoenix Park for the Cinco de Mayo Festival on May 6th through the 8th, 2022.
This time I would consider approval of a temporary Class B license for St. Andrew's Congregation to sell beer at the Phoenix Park for Cinco de Mayo. The General Operations Committee considered the application at their April 12th meeting and recommends approval.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.4 is consider the Delavan Historical Society's request for a temporary Class B license for the downtown wine walk on Saturday, May 21st, 2022.
This time I consider approval of a temporary Class B license for the Delavan Historical Society to sell wine at the participating locations for the wine walk. The General Operations Committee considered this license at their April 12th meeting and recommends approval.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.5 is consider a resolution providing for a 2022 temporary expansion of consumption area for downtown events.
This also came before General Operations. And I recommend approval for the proposed resolution to expand the downtown area.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I think that we should consider making this more of a permanent adoption for the city. It's been very successful so far. This way we won't have to continue to come back. Otherwise.
Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.6 is consider ordinance recreating Title 9, Chapter 3, Section 28 of the City of Delavan Municipal Code to change sewer utility ordinance for fats, oils, and greases.
So this also came before the DOC, and at this time I would consider approval of the recreated municipal code. Title 9, Chapter 3, Section 28, fats, oils, and greases.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.7 is consider an amendment to the Personnel Policies Manual, Section 3.5 to establish a commercial driver's license CDL training procedure for new employees.
This also came through GOC, and at this time I'd move to approve an amendment to our Personal Policies Manual, Section 3.5, for the establishment of a commercial driver's license training procedure for new employees as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 9 are issues that came before the Finance Committee. 9.1 is consider award of 2022 sidewalk improvement contract to Loan Contractors out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, at a total cost of $90,131.89.
And this came before the Finance Department. 2 bids came in for sidewalk project that was proposed. Both bids were significantly higher than estimated. So with that, I would move to reject all bids to the 2022 sidewalk improvements project as non-responsive.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to, I think, we've been, the time that we've been in the council and prior to that, this conversation with sidewalks has been hot topic when it comes up. And, I can understand the people that live in those areas that are being proposed, those sidewalks, and I do sympathize with them and I understand their concerns. When this came about, and this is nothing new, this is something that has been going on for a while, if you know the history more than we do, that the sidewalks ordinance or, a proposal has been done for the safety of our people, so they can have to walk, and be able to walk their dogs and just have a place to walk in. I know that in some cases, it's harder to install a sidewalk because of the situation that where the house sits, it becomes a big issue, and I think that's been something that's been raised quite a bit, with every homeowner. And it's just something that I think it's gonna continue to happen. I do sympathize again with homeowners. I live in the corner and I shovel that corner every winter and it sucks, it's hard. But I've learned to live with it at this point. We live in Wisconsin, is what it is. We love it, we love the snow, but after a while, I was like, this is gonna stop. What I was just trying to say is, we do understand, the fact that sidewalk, I mean, nobody wants to tear up their front yard or backyard. But the reason why this comes up is because it is a safety for anybody who walks on the street. So that it's a safety issue. It's not a visual, has nothing to do with, it's just really safety. I mean, it's a safety deal for our kids, for people to walk, be able to have a safe place to walk. And again, I do sympathize with you not wanting that sidewalk on your house, because you're used to it. But this is gonna continue. Tonight, this is gonna be, this is not gonna pass because, we're out of budget, but it'll come back again. So just wanted to mention that I do understand what they're mean, but it's something we gotta continue to look at.
And with that, I appreciate your comments, Alderman Solis. It was discussed at the Finance Committee that this, obviously the action item tonight is just either accept or reject the bids, and then further discussion. The recommendation, obviously, from the Finance Committee, and the motion made was to reject the bids, and that further discussion will take place. So you're right, to your point, there'll be additional time to revisit this issue, not only in this area, but across the city, and have some additional discussions on that. So if there's no further discussion, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion to reject the bid signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 9.2 is consider award of the contract for the 2022 seal coating project in the amount of $106,560 to Farner Asphalt Sealers out of Waukee, Wisconsin.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to award a contract for the 2022 seal coating project to Farner Asphalt Sealers in the amount not to exceed $106,560 for the streets as listed on the proposal.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Purcell,
Yes.
Alderman Deshman Branch,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Alderman Beezer,
Yes.
Alderman Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes. Item number 9.3 is consider recommendation to award of the 2022 street and utility reconstruction contract to either Reisman's Excavating and Grading out of Burlington, Wisconsin at the base bid amount of $1,569,500 $550.50, or to Payne and Dolan of Kenosha, Wisconsin, at the total amount of up to $1,694,099.29 for alternates E and F.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move to award the 2022 street utility improvements contract to Reisman Excavating and Grading out of Burlington, Wisconsin, at the total amount of $1,595,509.25 base bid plus only alternate F.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Deshner Grant.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderman Solis.
Yes.
Alderman Purcell.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.4 is consider approval to pre-order police and fire EMS radios compatible with the Waller County system upgrade.
And this came in front of the finance committee as well. I see Chief is here tonight, so I'm sure he can answer questions if needed. Waller County is anticipating the transition from the current radio system to a new radio system in late 2023 to early 2024. And the recommended radio system will have the ability for police, fire, rescue, and public works to all work on the same system. The pricing received by Waller County for the radios is only good if it's locked in prior to the end of June 2022 and includes a 25% off discount. They are asking us to commit now to order and purchase our radios for the 2023 or 2024 budget cycle. So with that, I would make a motion to commit to purchasing communication equipment for the police department at a total of $178,000, and the fire department and EMS at a total of $324,000 through our county selected vendor, with such purchase to be paid for in either 2023 or 2024 capital budget.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just one quick question. How old is the current radio, radio that you guys had, or when was the last time you upgraded?
We just purchased the new system when we changed over our dispatch about 3.5 years ago. So by the time this comes up, those radios will be starting where we need to start rotating them out anyway. They can be repurposed for public works for a small fee. And then we can all, public works, fire rescue and police department will have the ability to speak on a particular scene. Actually, we can go anywhere in the county and be able to talk to whoever they want. They can trunk us to who they want.
Pretty much correct.
That's correct. There you go.
Thank you.
So,
Jim, will the antennas be at their expense or?
yeah, the radios are the only equipment that the city of Delavan needs to take care of. They're gonna take care of their towers, all the infrastructure, the land acquisitions, all that.
Thank you.
And I would just say, as part of further discussions at the finance level, there were opportunities potentially for ARPA dollars and grant funding along the way that would maybe offset some of these costs. So, any other discussion?
I think this is a really smart move in order to lock in the price early.
Well, the big thing is communication. They need to communicate together.
This will actually increase the coverage, and there won't be any black spots or dark areas or spots that are not covered. So this is going to definitely increase the coverage area.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderman Solis.
Yes.
Alderman Purcell.
Yes.
Alderwoman Deshner Grant.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.5 are approval of the bills from warrant 2022-03.
I would make a motion to approve warrant 2022-03.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 10, under other business, 10.1 is consider an application by the city for a USDA Rural Development Community Facilities loan to finance the renovation and expansion of the Aaron Public Library.
I put a pretty extensive agenda report in your packets. There are a couple things that I would add to clarify. One is that if we were to choose to go with either option that I've mentioned here, either directly borrowing it from the city or going with the CDA being involved, the main goal here would be to lock in a 2.5% interest rate, which is the current interest rate. It's expected to go up considerably after June 30th at the federal level. And they're assuring me that if we get this in quick enough, we should be able to get a letter of commitment from the national office by that time. Once we get that, then we have to go through the whole underwriting process. We have to accept the loan and such. We would have to take out interim financing during construction, and then we close the USDA loan at the end of that interim financing or at the end of the construction process. We have 3 years from the letter of commitment to get the project finished, which would put us mid-2025, which is kind of consistent with what our other schedule was, or has been discussed. I would say that the last 2 years and our last year and a half at the rate of inflation has probably skewed some of our original estimates. The original estimates of the cost were about 8.9 million with inflation, and I'm guessing now it might be as high as 9.5 or more. We still have a hope in at least $1 million in donations, which last I checked, I know well over $600,000 or $700,000 taken in so far. And then we still have an opportunity to apply for a community development block grant for $1 million, up to $1 million through the state. As I mentioned in here, the grant programs that community facility grants that USDA offers, they will not work on this project. I even asked about maybe applying instead separately for something else, maybe like for the radios. But they said typically in the grants, the community has to show that they do not either have the cash or the ability to borrow before they'll get a grant. So we're not in that position, thank goodness. So we're not gonna qualify for a grant, and that's only up to $100,000. But for the loan, the main caveats here that bring me to question whether or not we can go through the CDA process. The difference is, again, with CDA, if the CDA borrows the money, it doesn't count against our general obligation debt, and then we have to, basically, the city would be leasing the facility from the Community Development Authority. That loan would be able to go up to 40 years at 2.5% interest versus the maximum loan that we could get through as the city is 20-year. It's at 2.5% interest. The difference would be the annual payment would be about $180,000 less on the 40-year loan, but you're paying about $4 million in interest compared to about $2 million. So that's a big difference. The issues that kind of come up in, since I put this report out with CDA, is one, CDA hasn't been active, as I mentioned here, for a long time. One of the requirements for part of the approval of the application before it goes to underwriting is we have to show 5 years of financials showing that we don't have any years in the red. Well, when you've had no activity at all for 5 years, you don't really have, or more, you don't have any activity at all, and therefore you're not red. But I don't know if we can use the city financials as a substitute. Oftentimes in smaller cities like us, the CDA, much as it's handled here when it's operational, it's all handled under our budget process, and it's all part of our general audit. So it doesn't really have its own separate accounting system. It doesn't have its own separate audit. So I put that question in to the people from USDA. I have not heard back from them yet, whether or not they'll be acceptable or not. And the other question that occurred to me was there may be a restriction, and Stephen brought this up once before in a discussion we had last year. The other option related to this, well, the other thing with CDA is typically they can borrow as a part of a redevelopment area, a redevelopment package. but it has to typically be an area that has been designated as blight. You can do spot blight for a project, but you still have to meet certain criteria for the site to qualify. And I do not think the site with the current library or the vacant lots we're going to be using to expand it would qualify. There has to be something there, either like a industrial or brownfields type cleanup. It has to be either vacant and otherwise undevelopable, without blight or the incentives being offered. So I also posed that question to USDA as well, and I think I'm not very confident that they're going to say that, yeah, USDA will work for us borrowing through the CDA. But we could still apply as a city, and that would be actually a much more streamlined process. It's just the max we could get to 20 years. 2.5% interest, I think is worth it. But just direct me on what to do, and if you say, go for CDA, and if we can't get it, go the normal application, that's great. I've already got a lot of the numbers ready to go into the application. We just would need to, we're taking on these extra costs that have to happen. We have to, I have to make sure I obtain a suitable architectural report from the architect. And I think we actually already have it, but the report on the building, the current structure and the space needs that was provided at the end of the design charrette book that they did a couple of years ago. We have to put in you get an archaeological survey through the State Historic Preservation Office. That's usually just checking and make sure there's no recorded historic grave sites on the area that are within so many miles of the area we're disturbing. And we have to make sure that there's no, we have to do an environmental report. That will actually be something that I would like to engage our engineers to take on for us quite quickly. And that's typically kind of like a phase 1 survey to make sure that there was never a dry cleaners or something else there that had possible toxic chemicals. So it's a lot to do, and the faster we get started on it, the better. So I want to bring this to you now. My goal would be to try to get all the general documentation ready before the end of this month, and hopefully have the reports flowing quickly so that everything is there with a complete application by probably the second week of May.
Thanks, Brian, for the additional information and details. And any questions for Brian?
What's the difference between the payments between the 40-year and the 20-year?
Well, it's still an annual, typically, it's usually, most of these bonds like this are two annual payments where they split the, usually one's interest and the other one is principal. The difference is with the 40-year, it's this is just me doing an online calculator and figuring it out for one annual payment with normal loan appreciation and such. The difference was about $480,000 on the per year on the 20-year loan and $300,000 roughly for the
40?
I'm sorry, $300,000 for the 40 and $482,000 for the 20.
Question?
We would also have to look at our current debt policy because this would probably exceed that when we get to it.
What would the council's pleasure be?
I would make a motion to direct the city administrator to submit an application for the USDA RD for community facilities loan to complete the Arab library expansion project.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Jump on that 2.5% as soon as you can.
And I'd save the interest over the 20 years.
And we're still not locked in again until we actually get the letter from them and sign it.
And we also have the ability to prepay, I'm assuming.
Yes, we do have the ability to prepay. We can always refinance it.
And in the meantime, the fundraising by the foundation and stakeholders will continue to meet their obligations.
there, you know, even local nonprofits can apply for these loans, and I was thinking that since we have a foundation set up, maybe that would work, but then again, the 5-year window of financials comes into play, and hasn't been around 5 years, so that wouldn't work. But that would be a very more streamlined way to do it.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 11 is to adjourn, sign, die. Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned, sign, die. Would have a little changing of the guard here, but with no changes in this spring's elections, I would go ahead and call the county council reorganizational meeting to order. Has the meeting been properly posted and the roll been taken?
Yes.
Item number 2 is the swearing in.
Start with first district.
All right, let's start with the first district.
I, Alderman Solis,
I, Alderman Solis,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of alderperson for the city of Delavan
discharge the duties of alderperson in the city of Dublin
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
I, Matt Beazer,
I, Matt Beazer,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of alderperson for the city of Delavan
discharge the duties of alderperson for the city of Delavan
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
I, Paul Wilson,
I, Paul Wilson,
swear that I will support
I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution and the state of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duty
of alderperson for the city of Delavan
of alderperson for the city of Delavan
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
I, Ryan Schrader,
I, Ryan Schrader,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of mayor for the city of Delavan
discharge the duties as mayor for the city of Delavan
to the best of my ability. So help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations to everyone on this side of me, and at this time, I just want to say a few remarks. I want to go and thank my go-to historian, Mark Wendorf, who a couple weeks ago printed off the mayor's state of the city message from nearly 50 years ago, and it was entertaining to read that, as those of you that know that I love history, and it was neat to kind of look back and see what Mayor Miller nearly 50 years ago looked at, and some of the issues that the council and the city addressed at that time, and seeing the similarity, many of the similarities that we are faced with here nearly 50 years later and longer. Obviously, this is a really special year for the city of Delavan, and it's our 125th anniversary of being a city. And I think what's really important too, to take this time to historically, as I said, this portion is kind of the state of the city. And I think it's very safe to say that the state of the city of Delavan is strong and vibrant. This is, I think, a lot to do with the fact that this collective group came together nearly 2 years ago. Actually 2 years ago, with very new faces and new names. And during the early stages of an unknown pandemic, and during a challenging time that none of us have ever seen or hope to face again in our lifetime. Yet from day one, together, we rose to the challenge, working with city staff and persevered to do some very, very positive things. And I think many may not know this, but the city council and the administration and the city worked with one of the largest employers in the city of Delavan and the Walworth County to safely open and save nearly 300 to 500 full and part-time jobs because of our swift and tireless actions, and that employer being Lake Lawn Resort. Again, historically, for some of you that have followed the progress of Lake Lawn Resort, we know that there was a time that Lake Lawn Resort unfortunately was closed, and the negative economic impact that it had on this community. And I can say that this new council from 2 years ago, again, because of swift and tireless actions, avoided a very real and near disaster. And again, thankfully, we weren't impacted in a negative way, but a lot of people don't know those first few days, some of which took place on a Saturday, how this council came together to avoid that. And not only that, we opened up outdoor seating opportunities and supported small businesses all along the way, and ultimately kept them from perhaps closing entirely. And I think because of the marketing of the events and our community, we not only have kept the local economy going, but expanded our growth and the community overall. I think we have attracted more, I know we have, not just think that we've attracted more single family owner occupied homes in the last 2 years than the previous decade combined, despite the higher than normal construction costs. And the good news for a lot of us are that we're going to continue to attract those housing developments. We're going to keep our building inspector T standing over there in the back corner, very, very busy along with other staff. So, and I think that's what's really attracted during the challenging time, people to come to our community and live here and be a part of our schools and bring their businesses here and create jobs. And I think that's definitely one of the things that we've attracted again in the last 2 years are our family sustaining jobs, good manufacturing paying jobs. Pro Chef comes to mind. They're going to be opening up here fairly soon. There's 100 jobs that they're bringing here to our community, as well as potential for expansion. And then also one of those examples that no one really knows necessarily about is that we could have very nearly lost a very good community partner in the business world, which is Millennium. Not only did I believe our outreach and the common goals between the city of Delavan and their business for the future ensure that the company stayed here with their current jobs that could have left, but that the $7 million plus commitment that they're making in their new facility and the additional jobs in the future are a benefit to the city of Delavan and the surrounding area. We continue to pay down debt, and we balanced the fiscal budget for this year for the first time in many, many years. And that didn't just come about historically how it had done in the past, which was taking some rainy day funds and just shoring up some holes here and there. We actually made really, really tough decisions. We made cuts that I know weren't always popular, but I think all of that, and even some of those initiatives that we wanted to support and will maybe support in the future, we just couldn't get it done this year, but we'll work to expand those services and programs in the future. And again, these aren't always easy decisions or popular decisions, but nevertheless important decisions that impact the financial stability of this city. And we, like others, made an investment in our historic downtown area with the remodeling of Tower Park. And that project symbolizes, in my opinion, the partnership with our business owners and the investors who have privately made sacrifices to help us revitalize this part of our very important part of our city. That said, also, as much of us As much as we've all accomplished working together in this past year to 2 years, and that includes this entire city council, city staff, businesses, and community stakeholders, there's much more work that we all know that needs to be done. And I'm extremely confident that we will continue to work together, using our city plan that we recently updated as an outline for continued smart growth over the next couple of years, the rest of this decade and beyond. Some new initiatives that I think and hope that this council will take up along with staff are creating a business facade grant program. I think this is a really important priority. This is something that prior city councils have talked about, and it's time to create and look at creating a pilot program in this area. And I think another priority that should take place is to expand the grant program beyond businesses to individual homeowners, similar to what neighboring communities are doing. And I think this would certainly help homeowners with grant funds to cover some of the costs to ensure the structure of not only their home, but the stability of the neighborhood and the overall success of our community. And continuing to address infrastructure needs of good paved roads and streets are very important, as well as continuing the water and sewer projects and specifically addressing the pipe issues when we look at those projects. Continuing to address public safety issues in our police, fire, and EMS departments, and continuing to work with our neighboring communities on how we can potentially share some of those services and others that I think are going to be very important. And I'd like to end my remarks with how I started them, which is I believe the city is very strong and vibrant and working together. There's nothing that we all can't accomplish for the betterment of our community. We have the team here in place with this city council. We have the staff to do it, and among our citizens, we're the best. I'm unbiased when I say that, but all of us working together can be an example to other communities. So thank you. With that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is election of the council president and vice president nominations by council members.
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Carrie Grant as council president.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. I guess the proper thing is to ask 3 times, right? City attorney, okay. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? One final time, are there any other nominations? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor of the nomination of Carrie Grant as council president signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, council president. Item, next we'll have a nomination of council vice president. Are there any nominations?
I nominate that easier.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? One final time, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Matt Beazer as council.
second.
Oh, sorry. Is there a
I'll second.
Sorry, getting ahead of myself. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of the nomination of Matt Beazer as council vice president signify by stating aye.
Aye.
The same sign, motion passes. Number 5 are elections to boards and commissions upon nomination by the mayor. 5.1 is city planning commission, council representatives succeeding Matt Beazer, who is Matt Beazer. Majority vote is required, and succeeding myself is myself, Aaron Chair. Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve those 2.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the nomination signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 5.1 is the Development Review Board council representative succeeding Matt Beazer is Matt Beazer. And there's the design professional member, which is vacant, and I am still looking, because as I understand, according to our ordinance, there's specific qualifications of, and I have not reached out to anyone with those at this time. So at this time, we were just, is there a motion to approve Matt Beazer?
I move to approve the nomination of Matt Beazer to the Development Review Board.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. And again, we'll take up the other vacant position hopefully next month. Moving on to item number 6, which are appointments, 6.1. Mayor's appointment of city officers upon recommendation of the city administrator. City treasurer, Jennifer Weezy, direct, and again, we typically take these all together. But, so also a director of public works, Mark Wendorf. Move. There's a motion, is there a second?
second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the city treasurer and director of public works appointments signify by stating aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 6.2, mayor's appointment of city attorney, Stephen Cook. Stephen Cook,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of city attorney Stephen Cook.
Second.
there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Item 6.3 is the mayor's appointment of the weed commissioner, Mike Zimon's is appointed, nominated for appointment, no vote necessary. Item 6.4, mayor's appointments of council committees, designation of committee chairpersons and vice persons, no vote necessary. Public Works, Carrie Deshner Brandt, Alderman Solis and Alderman Purcell. Finance, Mayor Schrader, Alderwoman Deshner Brandt and Alderman Solis. General Operations, Alderman Wilson, Alderman Beazer, Alderman Plazer. Item 6.5 are mayor's appointment of the Town of Delavan Lake Committee voting members subject to council approval. Succeeding Matt Beazer is Alderman Matt Beazer. Majority vote is required. So if you want to make that motion,
I make a motion that Matt Beazer.
there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 6.6 is mayor's appointments of citizens to committees, boards, and commissions subject to council approval, effective May 1st. Public Works Committee succeeding Grace Hurdy is Grace Hurdy. General Operations succeeding Chris Phillips is Chris Phillips. Finance Committee succeeding Bruce DeWitt is Jonathan Webster. Planning Commission succeeding Corey Kunine is Kevin Armstrong. Communications Commission succeeding Will Kahapka is Betsy Cano Castillo. Board of Appeals succeeding, actually, if there's no objection, maybe we'll take that grouping first. That's okay with people. Because I don't have anyone for Board of Appeals, I'm waiting to hear back, so if there's no objection, maybe we can take that first grouping as appointed.
I make a motion to approve those appointments.
Okay,
Second.
there's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of motion signify by stating aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Again, Board of Appeals, I've reached out to a couple of individuals and I'm just waiting to hear back for confirmation of that, so we'll pick those up Next month, moving on to Delbrook Golf Commission, succeeding Mike Lazzaroni is Mike Lazzaroni. Succeeding Tim Tully is Tim Tully. Downtown Project Management Team, succeeding Leanne Hazlet is Leanne Hazlet. Succeeding Karen Wutke is Karen Wutke. Succeeding for Park and Recreation, succeeding Betsy Cano is Celine Henriot. Succeeding Steve Clardy is Steve Clardy. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve those mayor's appointments. There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 6.7 is mayor's appointment of Board of Appeals chairperson. No vote necessary, succeeding Will Kahapka is Will Kahapka. Mayor's appointment of the planning commission chairperson, again, no vote necessary, succeeding Ryan Schrader is again myself, Ryan Schrader. 6.9, the mayor's appointment of council members to boards and commissions, subject to council approval. Majority vote required. Delbrook Golf Commission, succeeding Tommy Purcell is Tommy Purcell. The Comus Protection and Rehabilitation Districts, succeeding Ryan Schrader is myself, Ryan Schrader. Parks and Recreation Commission, succeeding Tommy Purcell is Tommy Purcell. Board Library Board of Trustees, succeeding Carrie Deschner Brandt is Alderman Carrie Deschner Brandt. Police and Fire Commission, succeeding Paul Wilson is Alderman Wilson. Communications Commission, succeeding Luis Solis is Alderman Solis. Community Development Authority, succeeding Matt Beazer and Tommy Purcell are Alderman Matt Beazer and Alderman Tommy Purcell. And Tourism Commission, succeeding Luis Solis and Michael Blazak are Alderman Solis and Alderman Blazak. Is there a motion to approve those mayor appointments?
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None, all in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 6.10, mayor's appointment of alder persons to task force in the downtown project management team for a one-year term. No vote necessary. Task force on homelessness and poverty is Alderman Wilson. Public safety strategic planning task force Alderman Wilson. Downtown project management team Alderwoman Deschner Brandt. Approval by council resolution 7.1. Official depositories are the First National Bank and Trust Company, State of Wisconsin, Local Government Investment Pool. Is that a vote on? Yeah.
Yeah, move to approve the proposed resolution establishing the official depositories of the city.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.2 is the official publication, Delavan Enterprise.
Make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 8, we're back to public comments. Citizens may again address the chair at this point in the meeting. Please limit your comments to once for no more than 2 minutes. Anyone who wishes to speak at this time? If not, we'll move on to item number 9, which is suggested future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items at this time? If not, as always, you're welcome to reach out to myself and our city clerk and city administrator and happy to put those future agenda items on a future agenda. With that, then we'll move item number 10, recess to closed session. Roll call majority vote is necessary. 10.1 is pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 parent 1 parent C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation data any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding employee performance updates slash evaluation. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Weezer,
Yes.
Alderman Solis,
Yes.
Alderman Purcell,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dessner Brandt. Yes. Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll take a little recess and go to closed session.